One of the earliest written literature known to humanity was inscribed onto clay tablets right in Iraq. Hello and welcome to Opentiera. Join us as we embark on a journey through this storied land, unveiling the mysteries of Iraq and the echoes of Gilgamesh's legendary tales. Most of Iraq is made up of broad plains, reeking deserts, and fertile valleys between the Tigris and Euphrates Rivers. Major geographic regions include the northeastern highlands, as well as the western and southern deserts, making up 40% of the country. The country faces issues like inadequate supplies of potable water, development of the Tigris-Euphrates Rivers, and desertification exacerbated by droughts. The spread of desert terrain diminishes Iraq's arable land needed for agriculture. Industrial development, military conflicts, and oil infrastructure also contribute to habitat loss and pollution problems. The Tigris and Euphrates Rivers are critical to Iraq, providing nearly all water resources. Dams in nearby countries like Turkey, Syria, and Iran can diminish water flows into the country, causing further desertification concerns. Management of these two rivers is a high priority for Iraq's environment and economy. From its Fertile Crescent between iconic rivers to the spread of harsh desert lands, Iraq's diverse geography has been essential to supporting civilization here for millennia. However, environmental strains like water access and expanding deserts present challenges today. Iraq occupies the territory that historians refer to as Mesopotamia, the ancient cradle of civilization located between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. This is where the Sumerians invented writing and built great cities over 4,000 years ago. This land saw many ancient empires, including the Babylonians, Assyrians, and Persians. These civilizations made groundbreaking contributions in areas like writing, science, mathematics, and more. In the 7th century AD, Mesopotamia was conquered by Arab Muslims, bringing the Islamic faith to the region. Baghdad later became a center of the Islamic Golden Age under the Abbasids. Iraq would continue to change hands between different Muslim empires up until the early 16th century, when the land fell under Ottoman Turk control as part of their vast empire spanning 3 continents. After World War I and the defeat of the Ottoman Empire, the British took control of the area, shaping borders that eventually defined the modern state of Iraq in 1932. However, the transition to independence has not been easy. Internal divisions and interventions by foreign powers have led Iraq down a difficult path in the 20th century, from repressive regimes to wars and embargoes. Most recently, the American-led invasion of Iraq in 2003, dubbed Operation Iraqi Freedom, aimed to overthrow dictator Saddam Hussein on charges of possessing weapons of mass destruction. Though such weapons were never found, the invasion was followed by nearly a decade of violent insurgency and intense sectarian civil war as factions fought for power in the unstable country. Out of the chaos, a jihadist militant group known as Islamic State in Iraq and Syria, or ISIS, managed to take control of large areas in Iraq's north and west starting in 2013. ISIS imposed cruel totalitarian rule over captured cities like Mosul and Fallujah, while destroying archaeological sites and religious minorities. This reign of terror gave rise to a multinational coalition conducting airstrikes against ISIS over years of intense urban combat to rout them slowly. The prolonged conflict against ISIS resulted in thousands more casualties and displacement, finally regaining fragile stability from ISIS control by 2017. The social, political, and economic consequences fundamentally reshaped Iraq and reverberated globally, rebuilding remains an ongoing process, fraught with challenges today. The Iraqi population consists of distinct ethnic, religious, and linguistic groups that have been shaped by the region's long and rich history at the crossroads of the Middle East. According to World Bank estimates, the country's total population is around 44 million. The primary ethnic groups in Iraq are Arabs and Kurds, with Assyrians, Turkmen, and other minorities as well. Arabs make up anywhere from 80 to 85% of the population. Most are Muslims that inhabit the center, south, and west of the country. Kurds comprise 15 to 20% of the people and live in the mountainous northern region. The Kurdish people have their own distinct culture, identity, and language. There are also minority groups like Turkmen, Assyrians, Armenians, and others. Religiously, 95 to 98% of Iraqis follow Islam, primarily Shia and Sunni denominations. 60 to 65% are Shia Muslims living mostly in central and southern Iraq. Sunni Muslims make up 30 to 40%, concentrated in western Iraq. Small minorities including Christians, Yazidis, Sabian Mandaeans, and a few thousand Jews can also be found. The main languages are Arabic and Kurdish, with the Assyrian and Armenian languages also used by some minority groups. Iraq is home to a diverse mix of ethnic, religious, and linguistic groups, mainly Arabs and Kurds, as well as other minority populations. This diversity is an integral part of Iraqi society, but has also led to tensions over the years. Understanding these dynamics is key to understanding modern Iraq. Modern Iraq sits at the intersection of the Middle East and the Persian Gulf regions. Its location has long made the country a focal point of civilizations and empires. Located between Iran, Saudi Arabia, and Turkey, Iraq figures heavily in the balance of power and sectarian divisions within the Middle East. As a Shia majority country, it has close but complex ties with Shia-led Iran next door. Meanwhile, Saudi Arabia sees Iran's influence in Iraq as a threat. The US also keeps ties to counterbalance Iran. Meanwhile, Turkey battles Kurdish separatists across its border with northern Iraq, and Iraq grapples with an independent Kurdistan regional government in the north. Navigating all these neighbors and their agendas has been key for foreign policy. Iraq holds some of the world's largest proven oil reserves, making it a linchpin in global oil economics. Rebuilding its oil production capacity after decades of war has been crucial for the country's economic growth and government budget. Most crude oil ends up supplying energy-hungry markets in Asia, tying into broader geopolitical trade relationships. Iraq sits at the center of complex religious, economic, and political dynamics locally with its neighbors and internationally. Its future path will help shape the balance of power and possibilities for peace throughout the vital Middle East region. Iraqi literature emerged thousands of years ago during Sumerian times and has continued to earn global recognition. Well-known authors contributed influential works like Gilgamesh, an epic poem considered one of the earliest surviving works of literature. More recently, authors like Nobel winner Naguib Mahfouz have drawn international praise. Grand ancient structures like the Ishtar Gate and the spiraling Malwiya Tower use mud brick and geometric lines that characterize Mesopotamian architecture. Styles later incorporated Islamic influences seen in ornate mosques, shrines, and madrasas around the country, establishing elegance and symbolism within the built landscape. Iraq's musical lineage goes back over 4,000 years, rooted in rich poetic and storytelling traditions. Common folk instruments like the oud, joza, and hand percussion create distinct melodies, scales, and rhythms. The maqam style is a classical vocal tradition built on unique tone scales and poignant emotional delivery, reflecting the country's cultural identity. Iraqi cuisine owes its rich flavor palette to a history spanning ancient Persia and the Ottoman Empire, resulting in myriad culinary influences over time. Today, I want to introduce you to 5 iconic Iraqi dishes you have to try. Dolma. This savory dish, consisting of vegetables stuffed with rice, meat, onions, and spices, originates from ancient Persia. Iraqi dolma typically features stuffed vegetables like tomatoes, bell peppers, zucchinis, and grape leaves, cooked in a light broth. Maskouf, considered the national delicacy, this open-air grilled carp is seasoned simply with olive oil, salt, pepper, and tamarind while cooking for hours by the riverbanks. The tender, flaky fish is then carefully removed from the bone before being served alongside fresh local bread, pickles, onions, and tomatoes for a delicious light meal. Torshana. These crisp, golden pastries stuffed with a sweet date filling make a perfect breakfast or snack. Regional varieties use different fillings like fruit jam, pistachio, or cardamom-infused walnut. The signature sweet-sour tamarind sauce served alongside balances its honeyed richness beautifully. Halawa din, made from sheep ghee, flour, sugar, and rose water. This rich, sweet crumble is a traditional dessert. Resembling shortbread, it often contains cardamom, pistachios, or coconut flakes added for varied texture and flavor. The melt-in-your-mouth treat is a comforting celebratory food. If you enjoyed this video on Iraq, you'll love this next one.